What's happening with it, everybody? It's your boy Cuddy J, and I'm your host of Cuttacation the Kickback Podcast Show. And yes, we're back doing the podcast show, Cuttacation the Kickback Podcast Show. Over the couple of last months or so, I've been giving y'all the kickback chit chat with Cuddy J, but I had to go back to my baby, y'all. And y'all know my baby is the Kickback Podcast Show, the show that has no rules, no telling what you might hear. And we just like to have fun on here, we kick back, drinking, talking. But I got a new episode that I'm bringing to y'all tonight. It's not about no hip hop stuff. We normally talk about hip hop stuff on Kickback Podcast Show or other street things that go on. But tonight I have a guest co-host, and this guy right here is an intelligent college kid. He's in college. He went to DePaul University. Now he's transferring to North Texas University, UNT, and he'll be going there this fall. My co-host tonight is this X right here. What's up with the X? You good, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Welcome to the Kickback Podcast Show. And this topic tonight is the reason why I picked X to be on the show, man. You feeling good, man? You ready for this, man?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard like the story, it kind of like gave me flashbacks to like a experience that I had, right? And like my first instinct was, oh no, like what's going on?
So now, hold up, y'all. You heard what he said. He said the story. Now the story we're talking about the Carlee Russell situation that took place in Alabama. And apparently a chick got kidnapped. She said she got kidnapped or whatever?
Yes, she got kidnapped and then found.
How long did it take for her to get found?
2 days.
They found her in 2 days?
Yes, but I have to re-say that. Kidnapped and then found. You see what I mean? Not lost and found, kidnapped and found.
And then they found her. So in other words, did they say she walked back home, or so they didn't find her? She found her way back home.
They said she walked home they didn't say she walked home to her parents' home. They said she reappeared there. She wasn't found. She reappeared out of like nowhere back to her parents' house.
Now let's rewind back to the kidnapping. How did they say she got kidnapped, and what was the?
So the story goes that she was driving, right, and I guess it was, I think I-459, and she was like taking like a left turn. It was like a curve. And then when she started to go, her hazards were already on. And like she drove like another, let's say 2,500 feet before it actually stopped in the car. And then when she stopped the car just stood there.
So you mean to tell me she was driving the car by herself with the hazards on?
Yes, allegedly, yes.
So why were the hazards on?
Nobody has no idea. It's alleged that her hazards were on because she saw the toddler, but her hazards were on for a hot minute. She drove far before she actually. So she seen the toddler.
Is this in the daytime or nighttime?
It was like mid-evening, like the sun was like.
So she seen the toddler walking down the street.
Not even down the street. She saw the toddler basically half a mile down I-459. Her hazards were on like a solid 20 seconds before she stopped the car. Nobody else saw it. They all kept going, and that is not alleged because I saw the actual
video.
That's
a video. Yeah. So
yeah.
So that's why I saw, you don't got to even say allegedly because the video shows it.
Basically, yeah.
All right. Okay. So she pulled over, and she get the kid or what?
She pulled over. The car stood there, and then it stopped. That's all I saw.
So we getting to the point real quick tonight, y'all. By the way, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the dislike button. We like all the smoke. Comment, you know what I'm saying? And also, we want you to share, but we definitely want you to comment because we want to hear your point of view on the situation. We also want you to hit the like button to keep the algorithm going. And so, back to the story though, man, because this starting to sound like that Tawana Brawley thing that happened back in the day.
Yep. Some girl I think was kidnapped by like 4 white KKK members
back in 1987, in November.
Got raped, and then when she came back home, she found her way back home. Just like this story, she came back home. She had a bunch of slurs, the N-word with the hard R written on her, KKK written on her. She had dog poop smeared all over her body.
It's Tawana Brawley, y'all. Y'all might don't know about. I mean, some of y'all might know about Tawana Brawley. Older people or people that just in tune to news.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. I watched that documentary. Tawana Brawley had Al Sharpton and a couple of New York cats that back in the day that was on the come up fighting for her, and They were showing that she had KKK carved on her, and
yeah, covered in feces and everything. But she came home with a story. You know what I mean? Like,
this
oh,
is
this is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. And
opposed to this Carlee Russell chick who don't got nothing.
just came home.
She don't want you talking. The family's in defense mode.
Now, might I say, I'll say this before I say anything else. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I hope she's okay. I'm glad that she's still alive. However, there's some questions that I have.
And so, what are those questions?
First question is that if the parents are saying, you know, she's like dealing with trauma, right? From people just asking questions, just polite questions. How is it valid for them to also go on the news? I think it was ABC News or something like that that posted this and say that they're for sure certain that her abductor is still out there. So you mean to tell me that I'm in danger technically if I drive through Alabama? You're in danger.
Or abductors.
Abductors, yeah, multiple people.
She said a bunch of redhead guys, right? There was
allegedly, yeah, that's what she said.
That's how they said. This how that was their way of describing them being as white men, because black men don't got red hair.
This wasn't even in like the surveillance video that the police, the Hoover PD, released.
Okay.
But when they said, hey, like, stop asking her questions, but we know that her abductors are still out there. So if they let your baby girl grow, who else's baby girl are they going to take, right? So we can't ask questions, right? It's not trying to say she's lying or this and that. It's just certain questions that we ask because as we know right now, the police are saying it's still a mystery about what happened to her when she got kidnapped, but she was found safe.
And then on top of that,
say nothing.
On top of that, you got people ask, okay, you brought a baby in the situation. Where the baby at?
We didn't. Was the baby white, black, brown?
Well, how does
yellow?
The baby look?
How did your abductors or abductors
look?
I
mean, here's the thing about it. There's a lot of people who I've seen on I've been watching the Facebook comments and posts. A lot of women are trying to take sides to this woman, and they don't even know her intentions or know what type of woman she is. You don't know if she was trying to look for some Percocets or on that booger sugar. Just because she's driving Mercedes or whatever she was in, doesn't mean just because she's intelligent, don't mean she got some type of fucking addiction going on.
Exactly. Like, don't be fooled. As a college student, I've seen some shit in school. Don't assume just because somebody's in college that they're this. That they're the image person in your head. Yes, they could be anybody. I met anybody.
And me as a person that was a distributor back in the day, most of my clientele was people who was lawyers, doctors, intelligent people who had a nice home, nice cars, went to college. So you can't define them that way when it comes to certain situations, you know. But to get to what I was saying is that they got people on there, you know, like chill out, y'all, let her breathe. And then you got people over here saying, they don't. She's in the trauma right now. Leave us alone. They're in defense mode. You ask for our prayers, we can't give y'all. You can't take our answers.
Exactly, are valid questions that we're asking you since you said you can't take our questions. Since you said that the abductors are for sure still out there, that means everybody's not safe, right? We have every right to ask you what the hell did they look like or something like that, right?
Once you put us in the mix and made it go public, I mean, you might be in a trauma effect or whatever, but you still got something to explain to us. You got Alabama say prayers to Carlee Russell, and you got all of this. Now that she's back home, you want us to bag up and leave y'all alone.
After being kidnapped for like 2 days, I want to go back to your point though when you mentioned the documentary about Tawana Brawley though.
Yeah.
When you said a lot of black women, and from what I've seen on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, from like comments, just from like me spectating, not me like engaging in this, it's like kind of half and half. There are black women saying, hey, I don't know what to believe, but all I'm saying is that some of these questions are making sense. And there are some black women that are misinterpreting our questions as we're discrediting her. There was a quote in this documentary that you watch from
Tawana Brawley.
I think it was her mother, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was her mom. And what she was saying was that whole investigation where they were asking Tawana Brawley questions solidified, and I quote, solidified that the state will do anything to prevail, even at the expense of one's rights, without any interest in justice. What she was getting at was, oh, you guys are just discrediting her, like you're asking too many questions about what happened to her, like, which is valid, but that's just taking away her rights. Like, you guys are doing it bad because she's black. You know what I mean? Like, now this is a whole, oh, this is another black woman, or Another white man, a white man on Twitter said this. This is what he said, and I'll quote out of his mouth. Well, he typed it, like Twitter fingers. This is what he had to say. He said, "You will always find black men at the scene of discrediting a black woman. Period. Pathetic." Mind you, right? Those same people also reposted the submarine dudes who passed away.
Yeah.
They literally passed away. We know what happened to them. Like, it's not this big mystery.
In plain sight.
Exactly. They're all like, oh, like they died. There was memes all over TikTok. It was a whole joke when 5 people lost their lives at the bottom of the fucking ocean, right?
People made some jokes.
Those same people didn't care because they were white. So do you care, or are you being defensive or calling black men discreditors of black women who are asking them valid questions after being kidnapped only 2 days racist? Or are you trying to make it about race? You know what I mean? Like, are you saying it's because she's black? It's like,
you knew that, when this situation occurred that it was going to be some race. It went like that with Tawana Brawley.
The entire case, like 80% of that case, I watched like a 2-hour like documentary about it. Like an hour and 45 minutes of it was just talking about.
I watched that same. I fell asleep on it, and I woke up again, and I felt like I missed something. So I went back like 15 minutes back, and I started back watching it, and I fell asleep again. But it was like what, 2:00 last night. It was about 1:30 when I was watching that shit. I ain't gonna lie.
That entire documentary was about her being black. It was about race, not rape.
Yep.
Not the most important part about what just happened to you. You just got raped, right?
That's why Al Sharpton them stepped in.
Mm-hmm.
And those other 2 guys from New York, it was 2 other guys. I forgot their name, but it was some people that stepped in that they made it. They turned a rape situation into a race situation, and
yes,
that's apparently what they did here. And it also compares to a situation that took place some years back with the actor Jesse Smollett.
Yes.
He did the same similar act, and now you got the 2 Nigerian brothers getting interviewed explaining what really happened.
Mm-hmm. That entire case first started off with Jesse Smollett as, look at these white people doing this to this black man. Forget assaulting another human being. We had to put race in the mix. And then when he got caught out lying, then what all those people that defended him tried to overdo it. They tried to cancel the show Empire, which was a good show in my opinion.
I ain't gonna lie, though. I like when he had ran it. When they gave him his sentence, he ran it like a motherfucker in the courthouse. I was laughing. Yo, go ahead and say what you were saying. That shit was funny.
Those same people.
Empire, man, it was good, man. They started making this shit watered down, man.
They started to water it down after like Jesse Smollett because everybody was upset with him and they were mad. Why are you mad? Because when people lie like that, it makes people skeptical of other stories, but not just any story. Like if you can't just say, hey, this black woman just got raped and killed, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm skeptical. No, I'm gonna be like, what are the details? Correct? Like what happened? You're saying that she walked home to her parents' house. She didn't run to a police station. She wasn't screaming for help. Allegedly, wasn't doing none of that. Just walked home. The police are saying to this day, right now, as we speak, as this I think is going on like 53 hours into this investigation, they're still saying that it's a mystery about what happened to her. She couldn't even tell y'all and then keep it private.
You know what? I won't be surprised if this case is dropped. And next month we'll be talking about something else. Matter of fact, it's something else going on right now, and this is just a distraction from what's really going on. That's how I look at situations when they occur, because I say, you know what, this right here is just a little slap to the cheek when it's an uppercut that happened that we're not even aware of because we paying attention to this little pity pat hit we just got. And here's my thing about kidnapping. Kidnapping come with a ransom.
Or like a purpose, right? Like, am I about to sell you into sex slavery?
Yeah. It's like, so why would they kidnap this lady? How you said, and then none against, I don't know how she looked, but he said she was like 5.
She was 5'4" and 160 pounds, right?
So that's like about this tall.
My weight, right? Pretty heavy set, but like still beautiful. Like we don't body shame, nothing like that, but pretty heavy set in order to be snatched up so quickly to the point where the police said her wig, a black woman never leaves her wig behind. Her wig and her phone were neatly placed in the same spot near the passenger side of her car.
So the wig and the phone fell right by each other. Her phone, her wig just naturally fell to her phone.
So with that knowledge, that would mean that somebody came up to the driver's side of the car, snatched her, made her head cocked to like the right. Everything fell neatly in place, and they dragged her away into traffic that's oncoming. I saw the video; that was oncoming. None of that was seen on camera, though.
So okay, it it was a purpose behind this kidnapping. And like I said, most kidnappings, people send out a ransom. Like, what and with
What can I
their
get out of
ransom is
this?
like, now either it was some people that she know. That I wouldn't be surprised if she knows something that's going on that took place with some other people, and she the only one that knows about it, and they need to get rid of her because she's the only witness to the situation. We need to get rid of this girl. So they probably, I wouldn't be surprised if she got her hands in another situation that we not even hearing about. That's why she's not talking. She probably got her nose in some business that's going on with some street dudes, and she's the only witness, and they trying to get rid of her.
But what about witness protection?
I
Don't you
mean,
like, okay, because like from the whole dynamic of this entire investigation is let's save our black women, let's stop discrediting them, let's make sure everybody's safe, right? Everybody's not safe if the parents are for sure, and I quote, as they said, the abductor or abductors are still out there. That means somebody else is in danger. That means that they're going to go kidnap somebody else and they're
they
going to
ain't
go home
thinking
in
it
2 days
yeah.
or
I
something
mean,
like that. What? That doesn't make any type of sense. Like you could have, you have to, like as a smart, educated black woman, as you guys are assuming she is. I'm not saying she's not. I believe she is if she is a student in college. But if that's what we're all assuming, the
she's 20.
intelligent, common, logical thing to do would at least go under witness protection. If you feel like, hey, they're going to kill me if I say even what the color of the skin of the toddler I saw was, right?
Well, let's go. Let's go before the. Let's just say the kidnappers were some guys that did some bad things, and she was there to witness it, and they know she's the only witness that's in the hand, so they got to get rid of her. And they happen to see her riding off somewhere, and they followed her and they kidnapped her because they say, hey, we got to get rid of her. We're gonna go down. Also, let's just say it was a fake kidnapping. She's planned it. She has something to do with it, regardless. I, they saying it was some white boys. The reason why we're gonna say it was some white boys because they said red head. She said red. She said red head, and that's what everybody's saying. She said red head. Black guys don't have red hair. But they say diet, and and she still didn't give you a good. Is she? That's not good.
That's red hair. Is it
You
red
could
like my
just okay.
jacket? Ginger?
What's the race? Or the Indian,
That's a lot
Puerto
more valuable than
Rican,
the color of their hair, right?
Mexican. Normally people say it was two black guys in a white t-shirt, a black t-shirt.
That's all you got to
All
say.
she said was red hair.
Just red hair. And now, mind you, right? Her parents are claiming that she got out of the car when she was on the phone to go talk to the child, and then they also said the child said nothing. It was dark outside, sun was setting. It was like right whenever the sun was setting, so it was like still kind of bright outside, but like it was like kind of dim a little bit. So any toddler by the woods on a busy freeway would at least cry, mumble, speak, nod, say something, unless that child was set up to get her out there to get her kidnapped, right?
That sounds like a bogus ass story.
How did
Anyway,
her wig stay in the car though? She took her wig off to go talk to the child.
you know what? Here's my thing. Now they said I wouldn't be surprised if some drugs took place in this. She's driving with her hazards on. For what?
For a long time because she saw
She
the
got to be
toddler.
on some type of drug.
That's physically impossible.
She's delusional. I wouldn't be surprised if she was on some mushrooms. I mean, hey, the way all this, that's how I'm looking at it. I got to look at it that way because it's still nobody's not asking about the baby no more. They all concerned about this Carlee Russell girl. Nobody's asking about the child. Now, unless I missed something and the child was just made up, it still goes back to the fact, why would she say some shit like that? Why you're driving around with hazards? You gotta be on some type of drug.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like if I were to drive a vehicle and I see a toddler, let's say half a mile away, which is kind of physically impossible, especially when you're turning, you can't see something that's right here when you're right, like you know what I mean? Like you have to turn into it. Her hazards were on before she even started turning, and then she kept going and then stopped.
And
you don't take your phone with you to call the police. Hey, there's a toddler on the side of the street.
And why CPS ain't even? If a toddler is involved, if they got a toddler involved in a situation, don't you think CPS would have pulled a toddler walking down the street, no matter what street it is, a highway, it can be the sidewalk by itself, away from protection and supervision. Don't you think CPS would be jumping on that case
Yes.
and trying to find who the parents are?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think they would have been put out there on they would have been exposed by now?
The cops honestly would have pressed her, hey, we kind of need that information about the child you saw. Can you give us any type of detail about this child? Because we want to make sure that they're safe too.
You get none of this.
They don't even know what's going on. They have no clue.
The child was camouflage, y'all.
Camouflage.
The child
On camera.
he had camouflage on. We couldn't see him.
As soon as I read this report, it was off ABC News. Let me pull it up real quick. And I didn't mean to laugh at it, but it just sounded funny to me because Black women have amazing hair. They know how to rock wigs, lace fronts, their natural hair. And to hear this from ABC News, it says, the night, and I quote, the night Russell disappeared, the police department says she went to Target on Highway 280 after leaving her job and purchased some snack food items. Police said these items were not located inside of her abandoned vehicle, and with her cell phone and wig, that's when I giggle, at the scene of her disappearance.
Got giggles in parentheses and shit.
Her parents are saying she got out the car on the phone, screamed, and then, no, they said her phone was still in the car. She screamed, and then they heard nothing else, but the call stayed on. So in my head, I'm thinking, why would you... It didn't matter if you didn't know what was going on with the child. You take your phone out immediately to call the cops if you see a random toddler that's not your kid on the side of a freeway. Right?
It's a natural instinct.
You left it and snatched your own wig off and then placed it there and then.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! You need help? I've been missing for 2 days. And the way how I'm saying it is like kind of objective, yes.
No, but this is we very the objective perspective for real. Shout out to Star.
No offense to the family, you know, like. God bless her family, her and her parents, but that makes no sense to me at all. Especially someone who's been a victim of something very similar to that. That just makes no sense. Like your phone is the one thing you would keep on you in 2023 when something goes wrong.
Now, your situation took place back in Chicago. You was at the subway.
South Side.
You was in South Side Chicago.
Yep. It was near like 79th Street, something like that. It was like past O Block.
But you didn't get kidnapped. You just got
held hostage, basically.
Okay, well, damn. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It was like a whole different thing. But while I was there, I was like planning like a whole escape. I was taking pictures and videos. You know what I mean?
So like, you had your phone on you when they took you?
Yes, I never. My phone stayed on me the whole time.
What type of kidnappers are these to let the fucking goddamn hostage?
They made sure that
keep their phone.
They made sure that the actual plug that I plugged my phone in didn't work. I had to go all the way up in the kitchen to like charge it while I was like being watched and stuff. I couldn't even use the bathroom without the door wide open without like being watched.
So they was pretty much letting you freelance around like that.
Cameras everywhere. Cameras on the outside of their front door, the side door, the back door. Cameras everywhere on every angle, every corner, every angle in that bedroom had a camera. Like in my head, I'm like, he's done this before. My therapist told me.
So what was the purpose of snatching you?
From what I saw,
wandering off in South Dallas, you go to DePaul University, which is
so this person that I knew,
Chicago, right?
Yeah. So this person that I knew, we met. Let's say 2021. We actually met. I knew him for like 8 months to a year, like a year and a half. Barely hung out though, because I'm like, you kind of don't go to DePaul. I don't really know you like that. It's not my priority. But when I was getting ready to transfer to DePaul and like I didn't have a dorm, I went over there and we went to go spark up. Next thing I know, drugged. Couldn't leave, doors locked, weapons, stuff like that, cameras everywhere. Like I'm like, how do I just run up out of here when he could see everything?
What was his motive to do that though?
I ain't gonna hold you. I think that was sex trafficking. Yeah, brought people over.
And what race were these guys? Black guys. Cause they got now. Speaking of trafficking, that you said that it's kind of good because they got this movie out called "Sound of Freedom." Yeah, and I think Disney has some ownership to this movie, but they made them. They wrote the movie 2015. They started filming it 2018, and it just came out July 4th, 2023. But it's a controversial kids sex trafficking movie that's out, and it's based on a true story. It's about this guy named I think Tim. I don't know, Tim Ballard. Well, according to the story, that this guy he quit his job to go off to save these kids that was being kidnapped on sex trafficking, and he quits his job and he goes overseas. It's a true story, and it's a controversial situation going on with Disney, who had ownership to the movie. I guess somebody bought it from him. It's through Angel Studios.
Yeah,
That's what it says. So, it's a bit with all the kidnapping and stuff going on, and them not happen to just put a movie out,
that was already made.
which is a true story movie. It's based on a true story. It's a lot of controversy behind it, and it just so happened you got this stuff going on because I just watched a movie called Mother about a month ago that I think who was it, J Lo or somebody playing. Yeah, J Lo's a mother. Her daughter gets kidnapped and she go on a rampage. I also seen
saw that
another
movie.
movie where Halle Berry son get kidnapped and she.
Yeah, I saw that movie
So I
too.
mean, but those weren't based on a true story. This one was. That's why it's a lot of controversy behind it. I think Disney kind of like, no, we didn't want to put it out for a reason, or we.
Especially if it was already made, and if somebody felt the need to buy it off them and release it now, when we have all these stories of, people killing their friends in Mexico, people just going missing, stories, like it sounds kind of traumatic, when it comes to Carlee Russell, like stories like this keep coming out and they're kind of becoming more prominent. Even like with me, like I was assaulted, like when I was there, like I made sure to tell a therapist, the cop.
Do you know what they drug you with? Did
No.
they say the hospital didn't tell you what they drug you with?
They didn't even test me for it.
Damn.
They brought the police in, and the police started an entire like a whole investigation. Never heard back from them. I ended up finding this dude's mugshot. I send that shit to people. That's who that nigga is. I still have his address. I texted my sister, hey, I'm at this address as soon as I could because his Wi-Fi was in and out. I could barely text people. My service was down. Yeah, that was some scary stuff.
So you thinking this dude was sex trafficking? Did you see other people in that they
yes. had? And then based off like my experience about like what happened to me, like I was sexually assaulted like dozens of times there, being recorded with other people watching.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, forced to not wear anything while I'm there the whole time, so it's awkward, creepy, and I had to find a whole escape plan. My clothes smell like drugs. I don't know what it smelled like, but it just smelled stank. I ended up like, oh hey, like this is my move out day, like April 5th, like it's time for me to leave my dorm, and he was expecting me to come back, kept texting me. I ran out that fucking front door. He blew my phone up. He's like, oh, like you're gonna laugh whenever you come back over here and you realize college wasn't that important and stuff like that. I had to run to a gas station. It was like some 7-Eleven or like some racetrack or something like that. And I had to ask the two clerks. I said, hey, can I stand behind this desk or like that front counter? And can I call my Uber so I can go pack up my dorm? I had to be out the next day. This was like 2 a.m. whenever I left. The next day at like 12 p.m. I had to be out of my dorm with all of my belongings. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to go back. As soon as I go back, my friends like pick me up and they're like, are you okay? Like you're kind of tweaking because I was still drugged up and stuff. I lost 30 pounds when I was there because I stopped eating the food.
And this took place back in 2021 or last year?
This year.
So okay, this happened this recently.
Yeah, this is recent. After my therapist, everybody they have been pushing me to find this person. What did he look like? What was his skin race? I was like, okay, like I have his skin color down, I have his address down. Like a month later, when I didn't take a break from my therapist, but because I did move back down here to Texas, I have to get like a brand new counselor and stuff like that. I find his Caesar, my younger brother, found his mugshot on Google. Multiple felony charges like in the past. There's so many different ways that you could, when you get kidnapped, that your first instinct is to not go to your parents' house and just say, I need my space. It would be to contact the police and tell them what happened, not just tell them, hey, I've been found after I've been kidnapped. You weren't found. You reappeared after being kidnapped. That's how you walked.
That's why you look at the situation a little bit different.
That's why I look at it really different.
And your story is your story just really overpowered the whole story that we talking about Carlee Russell. And we're gonna get back to that
because I have details. Yeah, I can tell y'all what happened.
But before we go any further, I'm sorry, y'all. I know y'all want to hear more. We're gonna save that for another show. Do you have any more questions about the Carlee Russell chick?
I have a lot of questions. Hold on, let me pull one up.
Let me see if you got any more. And I just want to make sure we touch most of the topics that you want to touch on that situation before you.
Yeah,
but that's my first time hearing that. So
my thing is,
I'm kind of like,
it's like, how did she get home? Like she never said how she got home. Like, were they close to like where you lived and hidden? that just doesn't make sense. Like if you were kidnapped, you don't know where that person's take you. They could take you anywhere. They could take you out of the country. They could take you out of the state. They could take you anywhere. How did you manage to find your way back home to your parents' house by foot with no phone, no GPS, no Google Maps, no Pixel Maps, nothing? You found your way home. It's either you walked all the way home in some.
Well, maybe she knew that. I mean, like me, I can. You take me 30 miles away from here, whether it's north, south, east, or west, I'm gonna find my way back here on foot because I know my sense of direction and I know where I'm at.
So in a span of 2 days,
and she's in no Alabama now, a little country town. You know, you only got roads and highways and shit out there. Well, in the place, well, and it's mostly country. It's not like Dallas.
Right. How, okay, so there's only 48 hours that we have to really work with this. And I'm like, so did you, let's say, within the first 24 hours, escape or get freed and then walk your way back after being kidnapped for seemingly no reason without any detail? Or did they drop you off near your parents' house?
So they say it was physical trauma, though, right?
Was there physical trauma?
But they say her family says she's dealing with trauma right now with physical. So that means
they said that she's dealing with trauma with people, with certain people saying that she's lying, and also people like us that are just trying to ask questions and stuff. I'm like, all right, and that's completely valid. But there's not a single detail in this case besides red hair and that you just got kidnapped for 2 days, appeared at your parents' house, and that's it. And that they're still out there somewhere to kidnap somebody else. Or
I tell you one thing. Let's just say if it was me in the situation, if I were to get kidnapped by some people and they done some harmful things to me, and I just so happen to make it home, I'm gonna be very adamant about, hey, these guys right here, this is the place they took me to. The guy looked like this, blah 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 blah. Whatever. I'm gonna get them a rundown on what's going on, and then I'm gonna go down to my little fade of trauma and all that. But I'm gonna make sure you get these motherfuckers off the street. Or I'm gonna make sure I see the ads go down.
Right.
Then I'm gonna go into my little trauma shit.
Because you could forget me, you could forget anybody else that wants to know what happened, but the most important part of who should know what happened would be the police. We keep saying it's only 12 hours until the like whole investigation, calm down, be quiet. Like she didn't even say what happened. Like how do you know she's lying? Because she didn't say what happened. And it's like, how do they not know when they're investigating? They can't investigate without them knowing like what happened. Like they like if I was a police officer, right? My mom used to be a cop, right? And I was told by a civilian, hey, I was kidnapped. I'm not just going to try to investigate you being kidnapped without investigating who did it. They're not even trying to find who did it. They're just saying it happened to her and they're investigating, trying to find, they need to be asking her what happened to you. That's a very valid question to ask this young lady. Like, what happened? Who did you see? We didn't see nothing, even on the surveillance video.
And it get very crazy with the situation. She didn't want to. It's funny that she didn't blame black men for doing it, because I'm pretty sure she ain't gonna blame no black man. If it's made up, we're not gonna blame our own kind for doing whatever. We're gonna blame the opposite, and to blame some white boys or a white man, whatever she said, because they're making a rape situation, or they're making a kidnap situation a rape situation. Yeah. I don't know about no raping because we don't know if she's been touched physically.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to her.
But they turned it into race situation. But like I was saying, if you get kidnapped and they're not even talking about, they're not even worried about the main thing of the kidnapping. Like they're not even questioning you. They really, it's like it's like people are happy you made it home safe.
That's all y'all care about, not who kidnapped you.
You're not trying, because guess what? This shit somebody gonna pull this shit off again for attention. It's plenty of stories back in Shreveport. You got these two couples come up missing for a week or so, and all of a sudden they pop back up, and you got people on Facebook, the whole entire city of Shreveport, who talk about this shit and laugh at the situation. So when we hear kidnapping, we think it's some more bullshit again. Okay. How many white men are kidnapping black women like this, though? For what reason? So for white, and let's say if it was some white men did it, why did they do it?
Why didn't we see it though? Because 5'4" and 160 pounds would have took more than one person to swiftly snatch you to where your phone and wig falls neatly in the same spot, not be caught on camera, and then you just disappear on the surveillance video. Like,
Well, okay, this is what I think, y'all. This from what I gather up, and he dissected the situation so well. We talk about it. We've been talking about this situation in a bunch of situations that have been going on. We had these talks with each other, whether in the morning or late. We talk about this, and I said, hey man, we need to talk about this on the podcast because I like where you getting at on the situation. But what I gathered throughout the whole entire day today and throughout this show we just did, I look at it. I think this is what happened if she got kidnapped and she returned home so friendly. She returned back home so friendly, no scars on her, no touch. She's not beat up or nothing. She came back home. I think that she's seen something. She's a witness of something that happened, and she's the only person that was there. Some guys know she's the only one that was there. They got to get rid of her. They kidnapped her. They followed her, kidnapped her. She probably got tipped and threw the hazard lights on because she seen the dudes behind her. Now, why she pulled over, maybe she ran out of gas. I mean, that's probably why the gas lights was on. Her shit was on E. She wasn't close by a gas station. Thing, maybe that's why. But I still feel like she was on a run. Some dudes they got her, and she promised them dudes that she wasn't gonna say nothing. And whatever the case may be, she might gave some sex. Who knows? And they let her go. So they gotta do a motherfucking the DNA shit test where they try
yeah,
to
like,
see
like, yeah,
penetration,
yeah, they can
all
test
that
you for that.
shit.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna stick to my guns. I think she's seen some shit that she shouldn't have seen, and some dudes they say they got to get rid of her. Let's get her. Uh, and she's gonna go run her mouth. She got to go, and that's what I think that was going on. And she had to cover it all. She had to cover up what them guys done and cover up them out of the situation. Period. By changing the whole story by saying some other guys kidnapped her, and that's why she hasn't came up with a story to tell us yet. That's why she's quiet. She's coming up with a story right now, guys, and that's how I'm gonna end it right there. But you got anything else you want to say? Before we
yes. Just two last things. First, whenever, if and when we get more information, from Carlee herself, which is, I think, where that information that should come from, or the cops who got it from her, listen to the story and take all the evidence and all the surveillance videos that we have and see if 2 + 2 = 4.
yeah,
Second, I would like to say I'm glad she's safe. I'm glad she's still alive. That's another black woman that's not dead by the hands of somebody else.
righteous.
You know what I mean? But
Anybody, don't care who put.
anybody, like, you can't just say when 5 white men go missing, doesn't matter how rich they are, doesn't matter what they were doing, who died, right, with a child in there, and you laugh and you make memes. But when it comes to somebody who just disappeared and there is the same attention, the same uproar that you begged for from the media, and she's now safe and her story doesn't add up, and you kind of come at people that are just asking very valid questions, especially somebody who's been in something like similar to that. Like, I wasn't like on the side of no road or nothing like that, but I know what it's like to kind of like not be in power of like where you're at and like what kind of happens to you, right? There's just certain ways to go about that.
Anxiety all over the building.
I've spoken to other victims about this. There's like protocols that doctors and therapists follow, the questions that they have to ask you. That's not even intrusive. That's that like I told my therapist that I wanted privacy and I needed time, right? By the end of the day, at all of our meetings, she still managed to tell me, hey, write everything down each day so we can probably get it to the cops when it comes time for you to, open up that full investigation. That's not how things work. You just randomly show up after 2 days. We this whole cry, this whole uproar. The day she got found, I posted on my Instagram, oh, she's been found. And I said, it was on Sunday, this past Sunday. I was like, man, happy Sunday. Thank you, Jesus, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because I don't read up on the story. Like, when I hear stuff like that, I kind of like stay away from it because like I get flashbacks. But then me and Cuttacation talked about it, and I was like, whoa, things ain't adding up. And I watched some stories on it. It just didn't add up.
And
So
we ain't doing nothing but saying the same thing everybody else is saying. And guess what? If you're saying different, that we not mad at you for feeling the way you feel. So don't be mad at us for the way we feel, the way we feel about it. I mean, me and them see it pretty much the same way. Down, not probably me. We probably have some. Like I said, I threw in my extra about what I think was going on.
Right. But we're
You
all on
might,
the same page.
but we pretty much know there's some bozo shit going on, man.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed yourself, man? Was it
I
good?
did, yeah.
They might have to bring you back on because you got a story to tell on this
Yes.
type of situation because you've been through the same type of similar.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll run it back again another week or two or whatever if you want to talk about it. But we're gonna see where it goes from them. But you know the Cuttacation the Kickback podcast show I always end with a Scram Bitch Award. You got anything you want to say? Scram, get out of my way, get out of my life.
Scram to the motherfuckers who are always silent when they see you fall, but then got a lot to say whenever you start coming back up. Don't let money change you. Nah. What did the cops say? Do what they say. Remain the fuck silent, basically. Scram to that.
Yeah, scram, y'all. And y'all know me, man. Scram to all the bozo shit, man. Scram to negativity. Scram to the people, man, with the fake love and the real hate. You apply strangers more than you apply the people that you grew up with and who you know personally. Scram to y'all, man. I mean, I'm sick of y'all. I'm tired of y'all. Y'all chasing y'all. You ride with the popularity too much instead of riding with the underdog. Y'all scared to ride with the underdog because you think people gonna look at your image a certain way. Scram, you motherfucking bitches. Scram. On the count of three, we gonna say scram, bitch. 1, 2, 3. Scram, bitch. In other words, go fuck yourself. And I'm out like a fat kid in dodgeball. You heard me? Blah.